Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Asia Martrice and this is my very first video. So I'm so excited to start this, and I do want to ask that you guys please subscribe to my channel. I will be posting videos right now every other week, and then it will lead up to doing every week. My first topic is going to be on singleness, and I chose this topic because it's just been something that people tend to always highlight when they get to know me, or even in general. I think that a lot of people view singleness as a curse, and I myself have viewed it as a curse for a very long time. And it was definitely a challenge for me. I've been single for about 5 years now, and I'm currently 27 years old. I think that when it really hit hard is when I turned 25. I went through this major quarter life crisis where I was considering my whole life and trying to figure out, what am I doing right now? I'm not married. I have no kids. Time is ticking. I do desire kids, and, I don't know. I'm just getting older. Like, am I going to be able to do this? So I definitely went through a challenge when it came to that. But in general, people tend to always ask how I'm doing, and they ask my friends how I'm doing, but it's not because I look like something's wrong or things are actually going on in my life that they know about. It really is because I'm still single. And so I found out to be so weird, because it's really challenging for me, because I try really hard to kind of not think about it, because I do understand at this point that there's a reason for every season, and that singleness is actually a gift, and it's a very enjoyable season. It's very fun. It's very, you can explore, you can do anything you really want to do, because you don't have another person to hold accountable or to hold you accountable, but the Lord, of course. But people always tend to highlight it. And so I wanted to post a video because I know that at times I kind of felt like something was wrong with me because I was single, or I was forgotten about, or I was mad at God because I just did not understand why I could not have somebody by my side. And I've watched all of my friends have someone by their side. And it's not just that I'm single and I don't have a boyfriend, but it's more so even that me and my friends started this dedication or rededication of our life to Christ a few years back, and we all ended our relationships at the time because they're very toxic. And we were all single for a period of time, and now it's 5 years down the road, and there are 4 of us, and 3 of them are married. All 3 are married. 1 has moved out of state, and the other 2 have a baby. And I am still single. And I'm talking about no boyfriend, no one I'm texting, no one I'm chilling with, none of that. That's been that way for 5 years. And so I definitely struggled with feeling like, okay, is something wrong with me? Because why am I still in this state? Did I do something wrong? Did I miss God? Do I have to tone my attitude down? Am I too much for them? What's going on? And I noticed that there are a lot of girls out there who really struggle with singleness, and especially if you're in a situation to where your friends aren't single anymore or haven't been single and you're still single, it's very challenging. So to kind of rewind a little bit, I have not always been single. I was involved in a relationship. When I got out of those relationships, I was very insecure. I did not know who I was, and I was filled with so much hurt and so much pain because I needed some healing. In that process, my friends, there were 4 of us, and we all rededicated our life to the Lord. And at the time, we did all end our relationships, and we were seeking God. Now, I actually did not originally break up just because I was seeking God. I also was breaking up because I didn't want to be married. I did not want to be in a relationship because I was bitter. I was hurt. Just to be completely transparent, I was bitter. I was hurt. I didn't even want it. I figured if this is what love is, call me. No, I'm like, what's love got to do with it? That's how I was feeling. Like, love means nothing to me. I don't want a relationship. I don't want to get close to anybody. I'm done with this, because I wanted to be closed off. I did not want that. I did not want to be in a relationship or be married. And it was actually to the point to where my pastor called a stay back meeting for people who want to be married and people who don't want to be married. And I was headed directly to the meeting for people who don't want to be married. And I was serious about it. And my best friend actually kind of grabbed me and called me. It was like, Asia, come on, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I don't want to go to, I don't want to make a scene, but I definitely feel like I don't want to be married. And I was seeking guidance from one of my mentors and asking her, like, do you think that I'm one of those people who are called not to be married? And so she completely dismissed it and said, Asia, absolutely not. You are called to be married. You're too much of a helpmate. And so I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, the Lord's going to have to help me. So I started to pray and ask the Lord to help my desires to match his desires. And as I started to pray that prayer, slowly but surely, I started to desire marriage or my man of God, not just anybody. And in that time, I asked the Lord, like, please, Lord, help me to heal from my past so that it doesn't affect my future. Because at the time, see, my ideal of a man was the man of God. He prays for me, he covers me, he's there for me, he honors me, all of these things. But realistically, had he came at that time that I wanted it so bad, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it, and I probably would have ruined the relationship. Not intentionally, but because I was in a state where I didn't love myself. I did not know my worth. I was very insecure. I would have blamed him for cheating or doing God knows what, not because he did it, but because of my past. I was not whole. So it's like I was desiring this kind of man, but I was being this kind of woman, and it didn't match up. So it's almost unfair for God to even bring him because I would have hurt him. And so I realized that. I was mature enough to realize, like, Asia, you're not even being the kind of woman that matches the kind of man you're praying for. So then I had to really pray and get on my knees and say, Lord, okay, help me please to heal from what I've been through and make me whole and take me back to your original plan so that I can be who you called me to be. So that that kind of man that you have for me can see me, can really see me. Because he can't see me when I'm this kind of person or when I'm this kind of way. So I really had to adjust my prayers and really be specific about what I desired from the Lord. And so as time went by, the confidence that I started to feel was crazy. So I started to, being by myself allowed me to get to know myself. So because I was doing everything by myself, I was kind of like, okay, you know, if he does come, you know, what's he gonna, I mean, he's gonna interrupt me. He can't ruin what I'm doing right now. And so that was honestly how I felt. And that's kind of a fear that I feel is that, you know, I need you to be right because you have to be right because I'm doing too much right now for you to ruin what's going on. The Lord started really taking me to different places, but I still struggled with feeling forgotten about because again, my friends were married, they were having kids, and I was still single and I didn't understand. And so I really started to question who I was and who God saw me as because I'm thinking in my head, like, when it comes down to it, marriage, I understand it to be a covenant. I understand it to be a beautiful thing, and it's designed by God. And there is something that God has for you and your husband to do together that you can't do by yourself, and I get that. And so I started to, my heart started to hurt thinking that I am not walking in the will of God because I don't have my husband, and it's probably my fault. Not to top it off, there are a lot of people who are coming to me saying, Asia, you're going to be married, your husband's going to be this, your husband's going to be that. I mean, a lot of people. People will say, you know, you're ready and he's coming and your wait is over and all of these things. And it could be 6 months later, I'm looking at my watch like, okay, did it get lost? I mean, what's going on, you know? And so there is no one else that I could honestly blame but myself. And so I really struggled with that. It literally brought me to tears that time because I'm like, Lord, I just want somebody to talk to. I just want somebody to, you know, be able to call and say, this is how my day is going, or someone who's checking up on me, or to watch a movie with. And I did not have that, but all of my friends had it. So I'm like, God, really, what's going on? It wasn't until I actually was able to get in the face of God recently. I mean, this is 5 years down the road. And I just recently caught the revelation and understanding how much I appreciate being single because of how well I got to know myself, how I was able to go on those dates by myself, and how I was able to really figure out, Asia, when he does come, these are the things that you're going to accept, and these are the things you absolutely will not. And that there was always a fear of the past, a fear of going through those abusive relationships again, because in the beginning I couldn't tell that they would be abusive. I didn't know that they would be negative. I did not know. But now at this point, when I look back, I saw some signs. I realized I saw signs right there in front of my face. But also being single allows me to step back and say, Asia, there's no way that you'll go through that again because you're not that same girl. And now you know to rely on God. See, before I wasn't seeking God. Before I was doing whatever I wanted to do, but I wasn't being patient and saying, Lord, is this what you have for me? And that goes in any situation. That's like with a job, with a friendship, anything. I didn't realize, Lord, do you have this for me? And if you do, please let me know. Give me a sign. Show me with confirmation so that I make sure I do not deter from your will and your plan for my life. I did not have the wisdom to say that, but now I do. So even though at this time I'm still single, there are still no prospects. I am in a different position to where I understand, Asia, you seek God first and he will make sure you're not disappointed. I actually did seek God with my whole heart, and it was slow. You know, it was 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, just praying to God and being honest, like, Lord, I'm hurt. Lord, I'm upset. Lord, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I don't know who I am. And I feel like people are saying I have to be perfect to be married. And that's how I felt, because people will always try to tell me, this is why you're not married, or this is probably what you did, or this is what you need to do to be married. Well, why don't you just pray for me? Because I'm tired of hearing about what you feel I need to do or need to not do, because no one's perfect. And I realize that. So please, if you feel like I'm struggling, just pray for me. And so I got to that point where I'm like, Lord, I don't want nobody else talking to me about my relationship status at all, because it's all negative, even though they think it's positive. And what really I had to do is get honest with myself. I had to get honest with myself and say, Asia, if he came today, as much as you desire him, would you be ready with who you have? Now, if you are okay with not having, with having a certain kind of man, then that's fine. But if you're desiring a man that's going to treat you right, love you, serve you, and honor you, and all of these things, but realistically at the time, am I able to do the same for him? Or do I have things going on inside of me that could prevent me from loving him properly? Or for me, it took me to look into the mirror and say, Asia, it's not just about him, what he is or isn't doing. It's not, you can't keep saying, what's wrong with him? He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, obviously, because he's not here. Instead, I need to look at myself and say, okay, Asia, it is you too. And then also trusting God, because just because he's not here doesn't mean you're missing out. I'm not last. You're not last. I don't care if every single one of your friends and your family got married and you're still not married. You're not last, because God's timing is perfect just for you. And the biggest thing that I couldn't do, and I had to stop doing, is comparing myself to my friends when it comes to this situation. Because Jeremiah 29:11 states, for I know the plans I have for you. It does not say, for I know the plans I have for you and your homegirls. So I had to get that revelation, say, Asia, okay, God has a specific plan just for me. So that means that I can never be last. There's no such thing. I can never miss God in this topic, or miss God when I'm following the will of God. And instead stepping back and saying, okay, Lord, obviously you've called me to the season of singleness at this time. So what do you want me to do? There's got to be something you want me to do. There's got to be something you need me to get, whether it be within me or get out to somebody. There is a reason for this season. And I'm telling you, go on that date. Don't wait for, if your friends can't go on that day. Go to the movies. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your time, because marriage is a beautiful thing, and I hear that time and time again. But also there's a part of you that's going to miss this time right now. This is the time this time is limited, because God has somebody for you. God has somebody for me, and I know that. But this time right here, the time where I get to come home, enjoy myself, spend time with God with no interruptions. I can do whatever I want to do. I can just go out to eat whenever. I don't have to worry about what you're eating and what you like. I'm doing me, and this is a wonderful time and a place to be. It's not a curse. I looked it up. I looked it up. I looked up curses, and nowhere in there did it say that singleness is a curse. So that has been confirmed. So just know that there's nothing wrong with you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And if you just allow God to show you who you are and see yourself for what you're really worth, you'll see that you're not missing out on a thing. Actually, they're missing out. But in due season, he will bring who he has for you. And I know that, and I caught that revelation, and I am enjoying every single bit of this moment, of this walk, and this season of singleness. Like I mentioned before, almost to the point where I'm nervous. Like, if this comes, you got to come correct, because I don't have the time. I'm kind of busy right now. So he's literally going to have to interrupt me, because I'm so focused on what God is doing in my life right now, and I'm having such a good time. And it's not to say that the moments don't come, because they do, but I try to pray about it. I pray about it when they come, when my mind starts getting filled, when I feel even times when I do feel lonely, because there's times when you're watching a movie or something, you're like, man, I wish somebody was here beside me, or you're laughing, you're kind of going through the motions. So that's normal and that's natural. But I never forget, the one thing I remember is that, Asia, remember when you did it on your own? Remember when you felt like this before, and then you dated that one person, and you went out and you did whatever, and you regretted it? Or not regret, more so, but you realized it made things worse for you? Don't do that again. It's not worth it. And so realizing, Why don't I just stick to God's plan? Because my plan failed me every time. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I don't care what kind of man of God you have. He cannot love you the way God loves you. Great thing about God's love and God's peace is that it's never ending. This is going to be just part one of my video. It's just what I call an introduction, because I literally have so much more to say. But I would love your questions, comments, and concerns. I thank you so much for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe. The next video will be up within, not next week, but the week after next on Wednesday. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.